financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is business debt and those darn guarantees. Good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. A pleasure to be here this morning.
Good morning, Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Kenneth.
Good morning, Kelsey Simasco.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I want to begin this show by commending you, Brian, on your good morning this morning.
Well, thank you.
You gave me the good morning return that I've been seeking for years. I am so ecstatically happy I almost want to just adjourn the show, go outside and start dancing, but I'm not going to. We're going to stay with business debt, those darn guarantees.
Do you dance?
He's a terrific dancer.
Of course. Bank loans, credit cards to businesses, leases, vendor agreements, all these things can have guarantees. And when I say guarantee, what am I meaning? Just to clarify. I'm assuming that the business that we're running is not a sole proprietorship. I'm either a limited liability company or I'm a corporation. And the essence of when you're operating those businesses is, as the owner, you do not have personal liability for the debts of the company unless one of two things. You have personally guaranteed the debt, which is what we're talking about today, or certain tax liabilities. If you withhold taxes from your employees, the amount of their withholding that you took out of their check, state and federal, can be assessed against you as a liability if the company doesn't pay.
The trust fund liability.
The trust fund. So these guarantees become the big issue if the business is faltering.
Well, start off with the basic premise of why are guarantees out there? When you're a small business person and you're trying to borrow money or sign a lease or get a credit card, you're not General Motors. You're not able to just get credit in the name of the company without having something backing up that debt that you want to borrow, right? So most banks or landlords will ask you to personally guarantee the underlying line of credit, obligation, underlying lease, and if you don't, then they won't lend the company the money.
Yeah, but there is some wiggle room. And here's where I want to give you, I don't want to say wiggle room, but there's some level of negotiation or tactics that you should know about. Banks are going to tell you what they require. And they're going to start off oftentimes saying it has to be personally guaranteed. They also may say, we want the personal guarantee of you and your wife. They may also say, we also want a second mortgage on your house. They're always going to require almost 99% of the time the guarantee of yourself. Whether every bank is going to require you and your spouse to guarantee and whether every bank is going to ask for a second mortgage, that's not a determined factor. You should try to avoid having both spouses guarantee. If only one spouse guarantees and things go sour, you have a lot of wiggle room if your spouse hasn't guaranteed the debt.
And well, let's give you a good example of that. So when husband and wife own a home together, it's called tenancy by the entireties. When only one party guarantees the business debt and the business fails and the lender sues the responsible guarantor, they can get a judgment against that individual, but they cannot put a lien against the house owned by husband and wife. And as we've discussed previously, that is it's usually the largest single asset people have. And so therefore that asset's protected from the debts of the one spouse.
Big factor there. And then the other one was, one bank may say we have to get a second mortgage on your house. You want to try and avoid that. So you want to look to, you're not going to be able to negotiate with the bank you're talking to. If they say we want both spouses to guarantee and we want a second mortgage, you're not going to say, well, I don't want to do that. They'll say, fine, but we're not going to loan you the money. But you can go to bank number 2, you can go to the credit union, you can ask a few others and see if you can do better. That's on the bank loan. Credit cards to businesses, well, the credit card, that's more of an awareness. When you sign that application, whether it's electronic now, if you read the fine print, oftentimes, most of the time, even though you think the card is going in the name of the company, when you sign it, you're signing on for personal liability.
Well, and most people, when they're applying for a business credit card, are actually end up applying under their own Social Security number.
So it goes to your credit, and it goes to your credit history as well.
Which, versus if you apply for it and you're guaranteeing it, it's going to be under the EIN of the company. Which, interesting fact is you're not going to see that credit card on your personal credit report. You may see a judgment later on if you get sued for a default, but the failure to pay, the company's failure to pay the debt isn't going to initially affect your credit score.
So even though you're liable on the debt, it would be better if it was in the company's EIN number. That's your point. Okay. So now lease. The landlord hands you a 30-page lease, and the last 2 pages is a personal guarantee. Your strategy there should be to try and avoid the guarantee. First of all, first mistake people make is they think that all leases are the same and they don't bother having it reviewed by your attorney, and they don't even read the fine print themselves.
Especially a commercial lease where you actually have the opportunity to negotiate instead of and residential leases is very limited.
Yeah, residential very limited. Commercial though, the landlord typically gives you a lease that's written completely favorable to the landlord with the expectation that maybe you'll have it reviewed by an attorney and they'll change those provisions, but they're going on the bet that if you don't have it reviewed, we might as well have it completely 138% in our favor. So you need to have that reviewed. It's an important document because lease obligations can be hidden in that paper that you need to know about. And you can negotiate the guarantee. If you want to say no guarantee and the landlord says no, then you say, all right, I'll guarantee 1 year's rent or 2 years' rent. But you don't want to be guaranteeing it on a 10-year lease. Let's take a break. We'll come back.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So we only have one last question for you. If your son passes away before you, do you want his share to go to his kids or your new daughter-in-law?
Talk about inheritance.
Yeah, sweetie, and I'm gonna spend it all on you.
The kids.
You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. there is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so then this is an interesting one. Vendor agreements. You don't really get in a small business, a vendor agreement, but you'll often get an application with the vendor to open up and get credit when you're purchasing.
Right, so you can get terms of net 30, net 60, whatever.
Many vendor applications have sneaky language just above the signature block, typically in about somewhere between 6 and 8 point font, so you need a magnifying glass to read them. But if you read it, it says when you sign the application on behalf of the company, you are personally guaranteeing it. I've had many clients get victimized by having signed that language. The solution there is when you're going and a vendor gives you that application, read it carefully, particularly by the signature block or anywhere else to see if they're making you personally guarantee it. And if they do, tell them you either cross this out or I'm going to do business with a different supplier. And they want your business at that point. They'll probably
Right. I mean,
agree.
it depends whether, so to speak, it's the
Is it-
buyer's market or the seller's
And
market.
is it
so
the
to
only?
speak.
Is it the only supplier?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so those are things about preventing guarantees, and how to look at it. But you also run into the issue of what do you do if your business is faltering?
Which is the phone call I get every day.
Let me give you a fact issue to kind of a case study, sua sponte, as they say in court.
Before you do, I just want to make sure people understand, if you own a business and you've personally guaranteed, I get a lot of phone calls, people saying, I need to file bankruptcy for my business. And my first question is do you want to keep the business open or do you want to close it?
Good point.
Because if you want to keep it open, that business, which is a corporation or an LLC, it has to file a Chapter 11. And that Chapter 11 may eliminate most of the liability owed by the business. But it doesn't do anything for you personally, which means you're going to end up owing money and you're going to have to deal with a bankruptcy on your personal side too.
Would that ever work if even though you have the business entity and you want to keep the business going, and you filed a Chapter 13?
You can't file a Chapter 13 for a business.
But you're filing a Chapter 13 on your personal
For an individual.
because of the guarantees.
Right.
So
You could file a Chapter 11 for the business
let me give
and
you,
a Chapter 13 for your individual.
let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
Okay. John, he owns a pizza joint. He has an SBA loan of around $250,000.
So he personally guaranteed it.
He personally guaranteed it. He's not married, and he gave a second mortgage on his house.
Okay.
He also has a franchise agreement with the franchisor, which has he's personally guaranteed the franchise agreement.
Okay.
And he's struggling. And the franchisor is threatening to terminate the franchise for non-compliance with certain franchisor requirements, but he is current on what he's paying the franchisor. If the franchisor goes and terminates the franchise,
Okay.
sends him a notice of termination for violation of not following the system. If he loses the franchise,
He hasn't lost the pizza store, has he?
he still has the pizza store, but
Now it's ABC Pizza Store.
he has a covenant not to compete that says he can't operate it. There's also an assignment of the lease that allows the landlord to step in and take possession of the property in that circumstance. And the landlord and the franchisor can file circuit court to remove his sign. And he's
Supplies,
he's in
he's a
trouble
supplier.
in that environment.
So at Chapter 11,
Well, first question I have is his total debt is $250 on the secured debt to the SBA, and he has his house. Let's say he's got $100,000 in credit card debt and maybe $100,000 of tax debt.
okay, so
Trust fund liability.
you're still below the debt ceiling for Chapter 13 at that point.
So I could put him into a 13.
You could put him individually into the 13. The biggest problem with that 13 is that he gave a mortgage to the SBA for $250,000, and that doesn't get wiped out in a Chapter 13. That's
He has to keep making the
He has to
payments.
keep making those payments.
So if he keeps the pizza place, how does he keep the pizza place operating?
He's going to file a Chapter 11 for the pizza place. That'll probably be what we call a subchapter 5 of Chapter 11, small business Chapter 11, and he'll be able to push aside the agreement, the franchise agreement, and he can operate. He's got a lease with the landlord. It's independent of the franchise, so he'll be mom and pop pizza store instead of whatever pizza franchise he was.
Oh, but he can't continue. Can he force the franchisor to allow him to continue to operate under the franchisor?
It's possible he could assume the contract with the franchisor, but that's it depends on what defaults have occurred and whether or not the default in any way, shape, or form could be cured. I know you said he wasn't in default financially, but there are obviously the relationship is acrimonious at this point.
If the franchisor terminated the franchise by way of a letter before you filed the Chapter 11,
there may not be an opportunity to reinstate that franchise. Just like, so I'll give you an example. If a car lease is repossessed,
but then you've taken physical possession of it.
That's the difference. I'm not 100% certain about it. If a car lease is repossessed, your lease is terminated. You can't reinstate it.
But the question is, if a franchisor has unilaterally terminated, is that something that, like, what about if a landlord terminates the lease? It's only if he's evicted you
Right. You still have in a Chapter 11 situation or a Chapter 13 situation for personal, you have the right to assume and cure the lease. Now, if they want to evict you, they have to file a motion in bankruptcy court. It has to be heard to lift. Yes, and that is probably going to be unsuccessful if you can propose a viable plan of reorganization.
Okay, so that situation for that business owner that wants to stay in business is a 13 individually.
Yes.
A small business Chapter 11 to cover the business. Let's take a break and we'll keep going.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Fav Gross today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Fav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce Thav Gross has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon Building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
If your loved one is struggling with age-related issues, let our family help your family. Call Samasco Law now. We're family-owned and growing. Meet Joe Frizzard and Kelsey Samasco, our newest superstars. We'll handle your issues with care, compassion, and dedication. At Samasco Law, we'll leave no stone unturned until your family is protected for the long term. We'll walk together. That's what families do. Samasco Law. Protect what matters.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem. All right, so we've talked about the pizza guy. That's a good thing. But let's change the fact pattern and say, okay, you got this business. You didn't make it. It didn't work out. And at the end of the day, though, you've got this guarantee on the SBA loan. Maybe there's a second mortgage on your house. There's $150,000 of credit card debt. There's some lingering tax debt, trust debt that you didn't pay. I want a fresh start. So I don't want to be saddled with this debt the rest of my life. You know what I want, Brian, from you? I want you to reorganize my life so that I can seek and obtain the 3-point retirement plan.
Then we're going to file a Chapter 7. And we're going to get rid of the underlying debt. So there is a problem there. Okay, so you gave a security interest. You've got a mortgage on your house. I can eliminate the personal obligation to pay the debt. But if you want to keep your house, you're going to still have to continue to pay the SBA.
What if the market value of my house was $200,000, the first mortgage was $210,000.
So now,
and the SBA loan, which is $240,000.
So then I can put you into a Chapter 13 and do what's called a lien strip. But the problem today, in 2008, 9, 10, 12, we were doing tons of lien stripping. We were removing second mortgages from properties because there was no equity. The value of the property was less than the amount that was owed on the first mortgage. Today,
not too often.
It's so rare because of the values of properties that have gone up since 2020. Almost every person walking through the door has some level of equity, even if it's $1. And as long as that second mortgage attaches to $1 of equity, you can't remove it. But what we can do is get rid of the underlying debt. Because, and this doesn't, and the interesting thing about it is because this person's situation, their debt is primarily business or non-consumer debt. I don't care if they're making $200,000 a year
at their new job.
Or the pizza place was a side thing and they have a regular job. I can wipe out the underlying debt because we don't have to worry about the means test when your debts are primarily non-consumer. We don't have to worry about how much money you make because the law says if your debts are primarily consumer debts and you fail the means test, this test that Congress set up. It's
Based
says,
upon your income?
Yeah, income minus allowable expenses. Is there money left over? If there is, you're going to fail this test. You have to repay your creditors.
And then you couldn't be in a Chapter 7. You'd have to be in a 13.
Right.
So,
but if your debts are primarily non-consumer debts,
then
we don't take
you
that.
don't take the test. So the house scenario, if the SBA, the second lien holder, chooses to foreclose, I would eventually lose the house?
Yes.
But how long can I stay in there without paying?
Probably 10 to 14 months.
So if I'm trying to get a fresh start, you've wiped out all my debt, I can live rent-free for close to a year.
Yeah.
And that helps me get a fresh start. And if I don't really love the house anyway, then no big deal at all.
But there's also another opportunity there that, assuming you really just qualify for a Chapter 7, no matter whether or not you pass the means test or not. Let's say you would have passed the means test because your income
was
minus
low.
expenses is sufficient to allow you to pass it. You file your Chapter 7, you discharge all your personal liability, and now you go back to the SBA and say, I'd like to do an offer in compromise with the SBA. It's not an extraordinarily successful event like they can offer in compromise with the taxing, with the IRS,
but
the state
it's
of
something
Michigan.
you can try.
But it is something you can try.
But while you're doing that, you have to stay current on the first mortgage.
You do.
Because otherwise they'll foreclose on it.
Right.
But if you really don't have that much equity in the house, or the house is bigger than what you need, and you're really after a fresh start, let's just say the mortgage payment on the first mortgage is greater than what you really need to live on going forward.
Then you live in the house for free for as long as you humanly can. You get yourself a rental on the backside of that, and you go about your life.
Your debt, and then you're really positioned, if you think about it, to start building towards. You've already accomplished 2 of the 3-point retirement goals in a somewhat perverse way.
Have no
you
debt.
have no debt. You have no mortgage.
Right.
Okay. Now you're going to end up getting a mortgage when you end up getting a new house, and then get that paid off.
And the one
but
thing
you
people
have
need to
started
know
with no debt.
People need to know that you are not precluded from getting a mortgage ever again. We have people that get mortgages as quickly as 2 years after bankruptcy, and between 2 and 4 years, it's very common to get a new mortgage and move on with your life.
It's something that people often say to themselves in a financial circumstance, or they're looking at it, they think, oh, 2 years is so far along.
2 years is
4
nothing.
years.
This is a blink.
I just want to throw something out. Do you realize it was 6 years ago that the COVID crisis hit? 6 years have already passed. It kind of seems like yesterday. Because they're still bitching and complaining about the whole way the whole thing was handled. The point is, time moves quickly. Keep that in mind when you want to reorganize your life for the long haul. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.